Good morning to everybody. Hope you're doing well. We're going into week 5 of the fantasy football season. It's kind of crazy that a month of the season has already went by. So many injuries, so many guys that have came and showed out in regards to those injuries. And we're going to be looking at buys and sells per position today. Get ready for another episode, and we are ready to go.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, I don't follow no script. I make my own lane. Got a spreadsheet mind and a red rat brain. Dynasty beats got that tape in my veins. While they drafting by names, I'm exposing their game. No cap. We study the craft like film room rats. Gyms in the fourth while they stuck in the past. It's levels to this. Dynasty keep or flex. From rookies to pros, we demanding respect. That's real. And I ain't never need clout for my clout to show. Just a mic I take and a team I grow. This ain't just picks, it's principle G. It's fourth in fantasy where you build your legacy. We 10 toes down, yeah, we stand.
We 10 toes down and we stand on facts. Welcome back to Fourth in Fantasy. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for your continuous support. And remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. I'm Huncho, and this is my guy.
Rocco, call me Rocco.
And we're have week 5 tomorrow. And we're looking at this point whether your teams are doing fairly well, they're doing fairly bad. You're kind of looking to improve your teams, or you're trying to get some new picks for the 2026 year. We're here to let you know how you can buy and sell, or who to buy and who to sell on your teams. And remember, we're your fantasy playbook to more championship wins. And Rocco, where are we the land of?
We're a fantasy football podcast for Dynasty Sickos. Bye, Dynasty Sickos.
The
Everybody's welcome.
sickest. We looking for the sickest motherfuckers in the fantasy world. I'll tell you that. Yeah. Rocco, let the audience know kind of how your fantasy 2025 fantasy season has been going so far. Is it like we spoke about a little bit just now? Injuries have really taken a toll, and then this is the first week of buys. Though to throw another whammy in there, how are you trying to pivot? How are you looking at the landscape of your teams and then deciding what direction to go right now?
This is the time where you have to really take stock of where your team's at, and you want to kind of keep an eye on the rest of the teams in your league, and you want to see who's selling because you know the person that goes to those teams first, will usually get the best deal,
Yep.
and we'll get those players before they're off the team because once they're gone, they're gone. Once the team is shelled out, there's nothing left to get from that team. So you don't want to be the last. If you're not first, you're last, Ricky Bobby on that. But you also, conversely, you want to be the first person to really aggressively sell. Because I got a league where I think myself and two other teams decided to rebuild like this past week,
Yeah.
and uh, it's total buyer's market now because you got three teams that are all selling at the same time, so everybody's lowballing everybody. So if you could be the first, then you can kind of get some of those first round picks. You can even get 2027 picks for teams that are really going for it. I would do that. But I would be taking stock right now because you don't want to be stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the last team that's out of the playoffs. I know if you get into the playoffs, anything could happen, but you have to be realistic with yourself and ask yourself, do you really have a shot? Look at those max points and
Mhm.
see if you're winning by luck, by getting good matchups weekly, or you want to see if you're losing. My bad. You're losing because you're not setting the right lineup, so you're getting everybody's best shot every week. If it's the latter, if you got a really good max points, then I would stick in the race. But if your max points are damn near the bottom, I'd be jumping ship at this
Yeah,
point.
and Rocco hit it smack on the head. There's a team that I have that is 1-3. Max points, I am ranked fourth, but my points against first. So I'm literally giving Eddie, I'm giving everybody's best game week
Hmm.
out, week in. And sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, right? And there's teams out there that is fool's gold. You're 3-1, you're 4-0, but when you look at those points, gee, you're right in the middle or towards the the end of that of the league that you're in. So
hmm And there's a
that
couple ways, and I'm sorry, but there's a couple ways around that as
yeah,
a commissioner. You could either do league median, where teams that lose can still earn a victory based on the points they score that week. But in my leagues, what I like to do is a sixth place points wild card,
yeah.
which is just basically the highest scoring team outside of the top five gets into the playoffs. And that kind of helps out teams that got bad schedule luck, and it gets the best six teams in the playoffs.
And would you say, for the most part, on the teams that you have, like what's the overall records that you're working with? 2-2. I feel like if you're 2-2 right now, you're sitting in a cool spot. You're not too far behind, and you're not in the lead spot. I don't think right now is the time to really be panicking if you're 2-2. Now, if you're 0-4, that's a whole different other discussion,
Mhm.
right? But I think 2-2 at going into week 5 is very workable. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, if I'm 2-2, I'm probably just staying the course. 1-3, 0-4. That's where I'm making some business decisions.
And then with I feel like even with some of my 1-3 teams, there's time to come back. With some certain guys coming back from injuries, maybe that second half of the fantasy season schedule is in your favor, so where you could make a nice run of games to get yourself in the playoffs. Like, but as Rocco said, you never want to be in the middle. If you don't really think you have any chance to win the championship, sometimes it's better to cut your losses, right? But you don't want to gut your team. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're selling pieces that now you can't even compete in 2026. A lot of people get very rookie, uh, I say real rookie heavy, and depend too much on their rookies to think they're going to get production in their first year. And sometimes that does happen. You do have elite prospects, you do have really good prospects that come into a really good situation and then they hit the ground running. But I'm tend to lean towards production over rookies if depending on the team, if I'm looking to try to compete right now. We do have a couple of rookies this year, like Tyler Warren, for example, that's doing wonders, just putting up as much points as regular starters. But then you have Matthew Golden that certain people took, including myself, at the end of the first round, and he hasn't really done much. That's not his fault, but he hasn't done much. So that really is the ranges between rookie performances. You can end up getting, saying really good production, like we saw out of, let's say, a Neighbors his rookie year, Brian Thomas Jr. his rookie year, or you can end up getting yourself a Matthew Golden. Right? Not everyone's going to be a Mika Buka. Hell, how many people in Dynasty was like, oh, I'm not touching the Mika because he's far down the depth chart, and then the injuries
Not
ended
me.
up happening. Mike
not,
Evans hurt,
not
McMillan
me.
hurt, Godwin was hurt to start of the year, and now he's back.
I always remember the group chat, man. We were in a group chat with some guys in one of our good friends' Discord, and Abuka got drafted to the Bucks, and probably about 80% of the guys on that call were so dejected, so disappointed. I'm like, bro, y'all fucking tripping. This is like best case scenario. He's in a pass heavy offense with old ass Mike Evans, who's always, uh, always has those hammy issues
I mean,
early in the year. And you got fucking Chris Godwin, whose fucking ankle turned around like the Exorcist, completely around 360 degrees, 180, whatever. But
180.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
it was a fucked up injury. So like,
Right.
you could not expect him to come out healthy at the beginning of the year. So this was a perfect scenario for Emeka Ibuka to walk in day one and assert himself as the one, which he's basically is at this point.
I felt that. So this is really your ranges. So right now, if you're 1-3, if you're 0-4, yes, look at those other teams. Honestly, start looking at the pieces that you have. Look at guys that you don't want to move that are basically locked into your roster that you want to build with. Some of the older guys or guys that you feel like this is the highest that their value is going to be, start to think of moving those guys out the way to set yourself up for 2026.
And
Honestly,
there,
go ahead, my boy.
no, I said, and there's some teams that are sitting at 2-2 and 3-1 that have Rashee Rice incoming in just a couple weeks. So
Mhm.
those teams,
Yeah,
definitely, I would be going all in if you're even at 2-2 at this point.
yeah, agreed. No, excuse me. Now, to get on the topic of today's episode, we are going through the positions, giving you two buys. Me giving you two buys, Rocco giving you two buys, and we're also giving you two sells. So I give you two sells, and my boy Rocco will give you two sells. You know what? Let's go ahead and get jiggy with the quarterbacks, if you don't mind, my boy. And I'll let you go first.
All right, my first QB buy is he's a bit older, which makes him affordable. But he's been a top 12 quarterback basically since he's been in Detroit. Talking about Jared Goff, he's number one in adjusted completion percentage at 83%. And that's just a PFF stat that uh, calculates the percentage of aim throws, aim passes thrown on target, completion plus drop plus aim. Uh, and also he has a 9-2 touchdown interception rate, and he's only been sacked 3 times in 4 games. So that line is doing wonders for him, and that's with playing Myles Garrett just last week in the Cleveland Browns. So 31 years old, a lot of ageist out there in these dynasty streets. Um, I think they would be willing to let him go, but he's playing at basically a super high level. And that offense hasn't missed a beat since they lost their offensive coordinator. So I would be buying into Jared Goff. I think he can be an amazing QB2 for a team. I think he can be a QB2 for a championship level team.
And he gives you those type of upsides of where we saw gives you 35 plus points, right? So I feel like he's consistent. We really like the Detroit offense. Sometimes people overthink these things, right? They were like, oh, it's Jared Goff. He's not the youngest, he's not the most sexiest, but
Mhm.
he gets the job done, right? When we look at, and yeah, he might hit you with a blunder every now and then, just like any other guy. But Jared Goff is a very capable quarterback. He got way too much shit when he was with the Rams. Now he's very much appreciated with the Lions. Their overall offense is rolling, is growing. They have a nice running game, which helps out quarterbacks tremendously. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's it seems like he took it very personal with people leaving him out of that top 4, top 5 of guys going into the year. But he's basically kind of, in a way, push the agenda of, hey, I'm one of the top guys in the league. Stop playing with my name. Shout out to you, son God. Keep up doing your thing. And I'm kind of upset where I took, and if we go back to some of these rookie drafts or startup drafts that we were doing, man, how I saw people like Amon-Ra was making it to like the mid second of startups sometimes, man.
Drugs.
That shit was crazy. Where Brian Thomas Jr. was going before him, Drake London was going before him. I'm just like, okay, that's certain. That's how I got an Amon-Ra St. Brown in a couple leagues just because of he made it to the mid second. I was just like, son got
Methamphetamines.
methamphetamine, methamphetamine.
But just to kind of speak on how he's finished in 6 point passing TD, which I have him on a reigning champion. Last 3 years, he's finished as the QB10, the QB7, and the QB6. So it's a guy that you can basically have as your QB2 with basically top 10 year over year upside and more. I would love to have him on my squads.
I love that. And who is your second buy?
A second buy is a guy that's a 2-time MVP, should be a 3-time MVP. But the team isn't playing good right now.
Mhm.
So people think that that is Lamar Jackson's fault, but I'm here to tell you it's not. It's the defense's fault. It's the offensive line's fault. And I would take an injury discount on the guy. You know, you're talking about a guy who's basically the 1.1 in all Superflex dynasty startups this offseason, either the 1.1 or the 1.2, depending on where you took Josh Allen. But he also has a 72% completion percentage, 9.1 yards per attempt, 10 to 1 TD to interception rate, 166 yards on the ground. So he's giving you 40 plus yards per game. Like I said, the issues were with the offensive line and the defense. If I can sell somebody on a decent quarterback that's healthy right now, I would buy into Lamar Jackson if I can afford to wait a couple weeks, because he'll be back after the bye week. So he'll be out 2 weeks from what I'm reading. Then they have the bye week, and then he'll
Yep.
be back right after that. So he'll miss essentially 2 games with his injury. But I'm buying in, and with that defense, he's going to have to keep up with teams until they get that defense right. So, you know, he he'll be motivated, incentivized, and he'll have to, put up numbers to keep up with teams and to get the Baltimore Ravens back into the playoff race, because right now they're on the outside looking in. So I think when he comes back, it could be fireworks.
And a follow-up questions I did have, because we didn't get into that portion of the buys. And you can also give your how much you would buy Jared Goff for as well. What are you sending for Lamar Jackson right now that you think that's realistic to get accepted from the other end?
Let me see. I think what you're gonna have to do with Lamar Jackson is you're gonna have to send somebody a QB they like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it depends. You got to see where the team that has him is at. Because if they're a playoff team that's missing Lamar Jackson, then they might be looking for production.
Yeah,
But all day I'm sending Dak Prescott in the first for him.
I think
Easy,
they can get it done.
easy, because you're gonna give that guy production, and he's gonna get a pick on top. So I think that can get easily accepted. Something like a Jordan Love, maybe in a first round pick.
The one
Somebody
is,
somebody in that type of range.
Mhm.
My younger guys like my Drake May, and maybe I was a little bit wrong, but maybe like the Caleb Williams, I might want to hold on to just because of the youth. Um, but guys in those ranges, I don't think you're going to be able to swindle somebody with a Kyler Murray. He's just not playing well
Mm.
enough. But somebody in that range, maybe even a Baker Mayfield, if you want
Patrick
to.
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes.
Mhm.
That's close, because Patrick Mahomes is having a comeback type of year. Um, uh, but those type of players are the guys that I would send for a Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I like that, and I can be agree with you on that one. And it was where,
Jared Goff, I think I would send a first, maybe a first and a second, see if that gets it done.
yeah, Lamar. When you're going for guys like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, those top three guys, and basically in conclusion, for every year they're in that type of range, you're going to need to tear it. It's going to be either one, you have a lot of picks, so you can send like 3 firsts and whatever, but to save your draft capital, it's just better to try to tear up. Hell, Justin Herbert's having a hell of a year. Maybe Justin Herbert a first. If they still not liking that, Justin Herbert a first and a second or a third, toss in there and get the job done. But it really goes into, I think Lamar Jackson is going to come back with a vengeance. He's very much he's going to play pissed off. So I do love your buys there, my G. The buys that I have on my end is going to be Dak Prescott himself. and I believe, and he's QB 13 right now, but I believe he could be even better if he had CD Lamb. Right now, he's just working with George Pickens, who had an amazing week 4, nevertheless, and then Jake Ferguson, who's currently the tight end 1. And him having 1,119 passing yards, which is currently ranked second, just behind Matthew Stafford. Dak Prescott is playing some of the best ball of his career, and you wouldn't even know when looking at the Dallas Cowboys record of 1-2-1. I'm still pissed off about that tie. We won't get into that though. Come on, NFL. What the fuck we doing? You feel me? The hell's a tie?
This is sisters.
Right. So Dak Prescott has, when it comes to, and he's one of the last dying breeds in the NFL, I feel like, of quarterbacks who have mastery of the whole offense when it comes to checks, getting the offensive line right, reading coverages, getting the offense in the right play. He's one of the last breeds of quarterbacks. Now that's, I won't say it's I go back a little bit. I won't say it's a dying breed, but nowadays you're not, for these young quarterbacks, they're not, and it comes with experience as well, but they're not being coached entirely to like read a defense. It's more about athleticism, decision making, woo, and getting a lot of quarterbacks coming out of college is a one read type. If your first throw is not there, shit, let me run off or get the ball out or check it down, right? They don't, progressions wise, they have trouble with that. Dak Prescott, well, I just like seeing him play. It's fun to watch him play. I feel like in every game, the Cowboys have a chance to win just because of who Dak is. And what I would buy Dak for, well, on a team that I am currently 0-4, fucking horrible. But I sold Dak Prescott for an early first. If it's not an early first, I would even go like a first and a third, hell, a first and a second to get it done. Just depending on where Dak is on the team. If Dak is on a team that's 4-0 or 3-1, I don't really see him getting moved just because of he is playing some really good ball right now. But if he's on a team that's 0-4, 1-3, you can see if they want to make some shape. And hell, some people might even, you might be on crack. No disrespect to you, but might sell him for less than a first. I don't see the upside of that just because of what Dak has been doing so far with what he has. But I wouldn't sell him for anything below. If a first isn't included, or I think the first talking point of it, go ahead and decline that offer, Playboy.
Kids don't do drugs.
Kids don't do drugs, man. So I really like Dak Prescott and for the remaining season. And then we got to toss in that CD Lamb. And just to give y'all news, he's been working back. He's been doing rehab. So he's out of a boot. He is walking well. He's not practicing yet, but he is trending in a very good direction. He's not playing in week 5. He might be back for week 6, but I would most likely see him back in week 7 just for, to be sure. But as soon as Dak Prescott gets CD Lamb back and he's building chemistry with George Pickens right now, it's up. It's up. I'm telling you right now, the offense is going to be stupid. George Pickens is going to be a great wide receiver too, and CD Lamb is going to do what CD Lamb do. You feel me? So I really like Dak Prescott as a buy. And if you have a first, go ahead and send it to see if that person is willing to move that. If they're like, go ahead and do a first and a third, and just keep trying, keep moving it up, and see if they want to do that. My second buy, and this brings probably joy to Rocco because he was a main guy, one of the main components of Matt. Damn, I almost gave it away, but Matthew Stafford. Here we go. He was a very big advocate for Matthew Stafford, saying that he would go over 5,000 passing yards, and Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams would be great and have really good seasons. So far, Puka Nacua is the wide receiver 1. Shit, he gets hella targets per game, and then Devontae Adams is being a very good complementary piece to Puka in that overall offense. Matthew Stafford is QB1 right now. He has basically 1,500 passing yards, which is ranked first, 11 passing touchdowns, ranked first, and only 2 interceptions. Go dogs, man. He is playing outside of his goddamn mind. And if you remember going into week one, everyone was panicking because of his back. We don't know if Matthew's going to make it. We don't know if he's going to play week one. Hell, we don't even know if he's going to be able to stay durable throughout the whole season. They're doing a great job of keeping him upright. He's doing a great job of being I won't even say a game manager because I feel like that's a little disrespectful. Matthew Stafford is playing basically, if you compare him to some of the top guys to last year, he's playing better than some of the this year. He's playing better than some of those guys. So Matthew Stafford, and he's older, so I feel like he's easier to be acquired if he's on a losing team, right? So I don't think Matthew Stafford at this point of his career is going to fetch a first round from anybody. I'm not sending a first to get Matthew Stafford, but in a super flex, I'll send a second any day of the week to get that type of production. Yeah, I don't think you can get it done with a third, if I'm being quite honest with you. I don't think a third gets the job done, but I'm buying Matthew Stafford for a second, and he is my second quarterback buy.
Yeah, I mean the crazy thing about Matthew Stafford, if you watched that game on Monday night, was was there were a lot of times where him and Devontae Adams weren't exactly on the same page, where they didn't have that mind meld going just yet, and I guess Matthew Stafford thought that Devontae Adams was going to run one way, or and he threw it, and you saw a lot of off target throws because they just not quite in tune yet. So just imagine once they get that tightened up. I mean, it's crazy just to think about it, because there were a lot of big plays that they left on on the field, and he still threw for 380 fucking yards.
They left some meat on the bone, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm feeling pretty good about my 5,000 yard prediction, because he's doing this, he's doing what he's doing, and he's still not all the way. He's not maximizing Devontae Adams at 100% just quite yet. So, it's a beautiful thing to see, and you see some of the other weapons coming around. So, I would buy Matthew Stafford for a second right now, no questions asked. But the teams I have Matthew Stafford, nobody wants to even offer a second. I get laughed out of negotiations when I ask for a single second. So it's kind of making me making me wonder, like, what are some of these teams doing? They're like, nah, bro, I'm cool. I got Cooper Rush.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I mean, I got Mac Jones. I got Carson Wentz. What do I need a Matthew Stafford for? Like, yeah, Mac Jones is playing great, but I mean, he's not going to start all season. And the same for the rest of the guys. They're like, I got a Jake Browning. What do I need a Matthew Stafford for? Like, fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, you're actively shooting yourself in the foot, and that goes to show teams are a lot smarter these days about quarterbacks, because years ago, even last year, if you put a quarterback out there, you might be getting the first if a team was desperate enough, but teams will wait you out these days. It's crazy.
Yeah. And those are our buys for the QB position. Now let's talk about the sells. And remember to like, share, and subscribe if you're loving the content, if you're loving the vibes. Come tap in with your fourth and fantasy family. Appreciate y'all for all you do, for all the tap-ins, for all the support that goes into us. Thank y'all. And we're going to keep the train going. I will go first, if you don't mind, Rocco. Sure. And I will go over my sells. So my first sell, Trevor Lawrence, quarterback 26. I'm not liking, and I've been the absolute defender of Trevor Lawrence when it comes to, hey, it's the coaching. Maybe he doesn't have the right players around him. And once again, maybe it might be a little bit of Shane Waldron and how he's teaching these wide receivers and getting things flowing. But I'm not liking. So there've been a lot of miss passes from Trevor Lawrence, or passes that make you go, "Hey, man, like, what are we doing here?" Right? It kind of baffles me of how he hasn't improved much from his rookie year or even his second year, right? You want to see actual strides from him, and I don't think we're seeing that. I don't think he's the guy that I was hoping that he was going to end up being, which is okay. He's not going to be a top 10 guy, or he might be like a fringe. He might be at that 11th spot, but at this point,
Absolutely not.
I think at this point where he's at QB 26. I think that's his range. QB 20, QB 18, QB 17, around that. I honestly don't see him as a top 5 finisher ever, unless this Jacksonville offense takes a very much change to that. And then my second buy, which is we were very happy because it looked like he was turning the corner. Bryce Young, who is QB 25. So that's even more crazy that Lawrence is QB 26 and Bryce Young is QB 25. That tells you how mediocre Trevor Lawrence has been, because Bryce Young hasn't done jack shit mostly, except for like from week 2, I believe. Either it was week 2 or week 3. I believe it was week 2. And other than that, it's been kind of average. The whole Carolina offense has been pretty average. It seems like they can't get things going. Dave Canales, it maybe is him, but he had really good success in Tampa Bay. That's not the same quarterback, obviously, in Carolina as they have in Tampa Bay. They don't have the same amount of weapons that they have in Carolina. The same. I would even go the Bucs offensive line is better than the Carolina offensive line. I think we're in very dark territory with Bryce. If he doesn't turn it around this year, I don't think he's going to have the same value if you wait till the end of the year to get rid of Bryce. Or you should be trying to upgrade from Bryce. I am a little scared. I have him on 2 teams. Yes, he could be a solid QB2. I don't think he will ever be a QB1 ever, but a very low end QB2, a guy that you have as your QB3. That's why I think he's starting to fall into. What do you say about that, Rocco? And then you can also give yourself.
Oh yeah. You sniped me on Bryce Young. Your guy is not playing good. If you can get anything for him, I'd send him away right away. Um, and who was Trevor's Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. He never gets off of his first read. And maybe, just maybe, that team should have kept Mac Jones in the house, because Mac Jones is the only guy that knows how to utilize Brian Thomas Jr. Because apparently, the only people Trevor Lawrence likes to throw to is Parker Washington and fucking Brenton Strange.
What?
Who ain't doing shit for me.
What?
Because I already traded all my Strange. I didn't need no Strange. I'm a happily married man, so I got him off the team.
Out here. None of them strangers.
But yeah, get rid of those guys because they're fucking terrible. I can't believe you fucking sniped me. That's why you went first this time, but it's okay.
Hey, I'm glad we're both on the same page though with the sell. So who's your?
I have a feeling that he's not going to throw for 4,000 yards this year.
No.
You know what I've actually been doing is a pro tip is I've been sneakily picking up Andy Dalton, because if this keeps going like it is, Andy Dalton's going to get another shot to lead this team like he did last year, which may be what Bryce Young needs to get his head out of his ass, because he played so much better once he got benched. But Andy Dalton already got in the game last week, I believe it was. So I'm sneakily picking up Andy Dalton for the low price of free and see what happens. But my QB sells are, and this is not an indictment of this player. He's played a lot, like way better than I thought he would. But the reality of the situation is the Saints are 0-4 right now. And if they go 0-5 against the Giants, which the Giants will be a team that they have the best shot of beating, if they can't beat the Saints in the Superdome this Sunday, then Spencer Rattler is likely to get benched for Tyler Shough. I'm not saying it's a good decision, but it's a decision by the front office who wanted Shough to start. the season opener, but he lost that battle to head coach Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore will not be able to continue to win that battle if the team's 0-5. So um, I would get rid of Spencer Rattler now because I don't have faith that the team can beat the Giants on Sunday, because the Giants, what they have is a ferocious front seven, and I think they're going to give Spencer Rattler some trouble with the pressure that they can get. They gave Justin Herbert all he can handle last week, so I think they'll be able to shred through the Saints' offensive line. Abdul Carter's leading all rookies in pressures, and that's to go with Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence and all those guys that could generate quick pressure.
Yeah.
So I don't think that the Saints are going to win that game. I think Cam Scatterboo is going to just annihilate our defense, which is one of the weakest tackling teams in the entire league. And if they lose that game, then like I said, they're going to get Chuck in there, and your Spencer Rattler shares are going to be worth 0. So I just traded him for 2/3. I had a guy. It's on a team that I share with my guy Max, and I had to convince him to take the 2/3 because Spencer Rattler will be worth 0 by this time next week.
Okay.
And the other guys that I'm getting rid of, this is more of a process play. But if I can get thirds for guys like Carson Wentz and Mac Jones, who just had a great game, they're not going to be the starters all year. So I would get whatever I can while I can. This would have been the same advice I would have had a couple weeks ago for like a Tyrod Taylor, even a fourth. You're picking up these guys just to trade them, and then they'll get dropped right back on their ass as soon as they're not starting again. So I'm sneakily adding backup quarterbacks in spots, especially where the starting quarterback is shaky. Let's see who's the backup quarterback for Trevor Lawrence. Maybe we need to pick him up as well. But that's more of a strategy play. And I'll just flip those quarterbacks to teams for whatever I can get, and just kind of stack up those later round picks, because I can combine those picks for earlier picks. As we get closer to the draft.
And let's move to the running backs. My bias for the running backs, it's going to seem like I'm very cowboy forward, but god damn it, this guy's producing. And after so many people wrote him off, I'm glad to say he's actually very much producing and looking good, might I add. Javonte Williams is currently RB7. And if you heard me all off season, I told you that Javonte Williams is not done. He's not finished. He just needed some time. And just to even throw out another caveat, the Dallas Cowboys offensive line isn't at its full capability at the moment. We are having backups, and he is still having a solid season with 312 rushing yards, 7th, and then 4 rushing touchdowns, which is 3rd. Get yourself some Javonte Williams. At this point, he might end up being the first, just depending on how greedy the other person is, and if he's on a 4-0 team or 3-1 team. It doesn't make much sense for them to get rid of him. But he's on a 0-4 team, 1-3. Hell, you could end up sending out a second, 2 seconds, maybe a second and a third. Some people might feel like a first is a little bit above their palate to send out. But just how Javonte Williams has been playing, and mind you, he's only 25, I believe. Either 25 or 26, but I think he's 25. He's having an amazing season. Hopefully, health-wise, he keeps going. And, once CeeDee Lamb gets back, the offense will keep turning up. But Javonte Williams is a buy for me. And then Derrick Henry. And I know he's pissed off a lot of his owners. I'm one of his owners. He very much has pissed me off too, as he's RB22. 284 rushing yards, which is 8th. Mind you, still having not having the Derrick Henry season that we want, but he is still 8th. 3rd in touchdowns, which is 11th. What we like about Derrick Henry, what we know about Derrick Henry, just looking at the history, he gets better in the later halves of the month or later halves of the year. So here we have we have Henry in September. He averages 4.3 yards per carry, and this is his all-time every month. October gets a little better, 4.8. November, 4.9. Right. December though, we'll look at that 5.2. The most rushing yards that he has is because you don't want to tackle his ass. You don't want to hit him when it's cold out, or he's gonna bust you in your mouth. No pause. Okay. So so when we're looking at, and you look at the rushing touchdowns, 30 in December, 25, 28. So we're like, once the year starts getting colder, once the that, and being in Baltimore at that, Derrick Henry is going to come back. Right now, you could be pissed off at him, which is okay. But I would go buy Derrick Henry right now for a second. Hell, I don't think you need to throw any more than a second because he might have people pissed off at a second. If they want more than that, I might be out. But 2 seconds, yeah, maybe 2/3, I'd throw that out for some Derrick Henry with him being 30 and not having, and also having the fumbling issues that he's having. But who are your buys at the running back position?
I just wanted to add a little bit to Javonte Williams, as he's averaging a little bit over four catches per game, and that's some added value when you can get a guy with a three down role for the team, 4 touchdowns in 4 games, and those 4 catches per game. That makes him insulated to where it's hard for him to have a bad game weekly. And as far as Derrick Henry goes, we're out of September, so this is the time you want to buy for people that have a short memory and are disappointed with what they've seen from Derrick Henry so far. But my buys are Ja'Cory Koski Merritt, just because he is first overall in the PFF run grade. So the film guys love him. He hasn't quite got the full role yet. I'm not sure what's holding him back. Maybe because he was a later drafted rookie. He just hasn't got that full shot yet. But basically, every time he touches the ball, he looks good with it. And I don't think that Chris Rodriguez and Jeremy McNichols will be able to hold him off all season. I see. I've had some guys. They must have PFF as well. They sent me kind of a low ball offer for JCM, and I told him to go to hell because I'm not selling him until I see what he can do with a full workload, and I think he'll be getting that full workload, if not soon, by the second half of the year. So I'm just kind of holding and waiting to see.
So the audience knows what was the what was the low offer, or what do you consider a low offer? Like a third or fourth?
No, it was some bullshit. Hold up, let me pull it up real quick.
Rocco said it
Hold
was some
up.
bullshit, so don't sell that man no bullshit, man.
Yeah.
You're not
Oh, here it
fucking
is. I got it right here for you. Jalen Hyatt,
Oh yeah,
fourth round pick,
they playing.
and Jonathan Brooks,
They playing in your face.
who's
They
had
literally
back to back injury dismantled
They don't
seasons.
think you know ball, Rocco. They don't think
bruh,
you know.
just because people liked him when he was drafted does not mean I'm taking on your injuries. And it's on a team where I'm actually 3-1, so I'm actually competing. So why am I going to help you out to help your team out when you're one of my competitions?
Yeah.
Like, go to hell, go fuck yourself.
Go there, fuck all that. Fuck all that, man. Yeah, go to hell.
Yeah, my other guy is if anybody watched the show, you guys know how I feel about him. Cam Scatterboo, third in PFF run game, 15 targets in 4 games, so he's getting the targets. And in the first couple games, he wasn't even the running back one. That was that was Tyrone Tracy, who got the veteran treatment, early on in the season, but then he busted his shoulder, unfortunately. But he did have 26 touches in week 4, and he has 11 missed forced tackles in that limited time in 4 games. So he's been pretty damn good so far this year, and I think he has a chance to really explode this week. If anybody saw the Saints game this past week, Khalil Shakir just ran through
I
about
hope
8
you.
Saints defenders for a touchdown. And Khalil Shakir is not exactly a Cam Scatterboo. He's a good run after the catch guy, but he ain't no Cam Scatterboo. I think by the second half of the Saints game, those guys are going to be making business decisions, and nobody's going to want to tackle this guy.
He runs like he wants CTE. He wants brain damage. He don't give
Yeah,
a fuck.
and he wants those other guys to get brain damage too. So yeah, the one thing that concerned me a little bit was Dart really didn't throw to him in this past week. But you also got to remember that Malik Neighbors got hurt early in the game, so maybe Malik Neighbors was a big part of the game plan. Um, but without Malik Neighbors, they're gonna have to utilize Cam Scatterboo in the passing game because of a lack of weapons. So I could see them, going forward, getting him more involved in the passing game because he's an excellent pass catcher. And you get that guy in space, and he's gonna make people, scared to get in his way. So Cam Scatterboo by far is one of my biggest buys. I'd give a fucking first for him right now, no questions asked. 2026 preferably. But I've already sold. I've already sold the first for him already, and I would do that in multiple leagues.
And I've went, and then before we go into the sales, and I'll let you go first for the sales since I went first for the sales for the quarterbacks. I have came around on Cam, at first, and I'm a big Tracy guy, so I was hoping Tracy one would stay healthy, and he would have a good role. He hasn't. Tracy has looked solid, but he hasn't stayed healthy. So now, and we saw with Tracy, that's how he got his opportunity last year as well. Devin Singletary ends up getting hurt. Tracy comes in, has some good games. Now he's the starter going forward until he started having fumbling issues. Cam, I don't see that being the same issue. Cam, and one, he has that dog in him. It seems like he pumps up his teammates. So I like Cam Scatterbo as a buy here. And then looking at the sales, let us know, my G.
Man, I've been trying to sell this guy since last year, um, but I haven't quite gotten what I've been looking for. But it's hard for me to buy into a guy that had 475 touches in a single year the previous year, long playoff run. Talking about Saquon Barkley, who's right now sitting at
RB13.
tied for sixth worst yards per carry, 3.1 yards per carry. I mean, this is Saquon Barkley um, at 3 yards per carry. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's at the same 3.1 yards per carry, but we won't talk about that because he has Amon-Ra St. Brown passing stats. Let's just say that Saquon Barkley doesn't have that same kind of pass game upside.
Yep.
But yeah, about 3.5 catches per game. So he's not supplementing his lack of rushing success, as much as you would like in the pass game. And he's kind of been propped up by his 3 touchdowns. If not for that, he would be one of the worst running backs in the league. But anyway, you look at it, less than 60 offensive grade on the year. He's just performed poorly. And that whole offense has kind of performed poorly. So until that offense plays better, it's hard to expect the Saquon Barkley to play better.
And we're right there. We're right, literally hip to hip. Because you sniped me. I sniped you on the other one. You sniped me because Saquon Barkley was one of my sells as well. And really, the amount of points he's been able to get so far in 2025 is just because of volume. He is the guy. He is the offense, right? Mm-hmm. So, but it hasn't been efficient. It hasn't been sexy. It hasn't been the glam that we saw in 2024. And then for a running back that's near 30 or at 30, I believe he's 29. So when you're talking about the history of guys who ended up getting the amount of touches he did, it very much goes a long ways into the next year and affects them in a way. And then you throw out that, yes, Jalen Hurts is still a top 10 quarterback and I won't fight nobody with that one, right? I won't fight in fantasy and in real life. But as a passer, there's two. That's two different things. Quarterback wise, he has it. He has what you want as a leader. He's unfazed. He's composed. He's able to get you where you need to be. That's why they're undefeated right now. They shouldn't be, but he gets them to where they need to be. When passing wise, though, there's nothing to really be honest, in my opinion, like hyped about, raved about. They're not the route concepts for the wide receivers hasn't been sexy.
I think that's the problem. Yeah.
AJ Brown is not. He had one good week. Next, the next following week, not good. Devontae Smith hasn't really been a factor either. They have Goddard. I don't know how to say that man's name sometimes. Dallas Goddard, and
Dallas.
He gets more. It seems like he gets more the stats or than AJ Brown. That's fucking crazy for what you have in a wide receiver one. And you can tell AJ Brown, he's doing his best to be professional, to be a good teammate, but you can tell it irks him. He knows he's a wide receiver one. He knows he should be getting the targets. They're just not going that way. Whether it's the offensive coordinator, whether it's the scheme, something is not gelling, and it's going to end up catching to the Eagles one way or another. But Saquon Barkley, I think, is actually last year was probably your greatest sell window. But even now, I think you can get him off your roster. I still think he commands a first. Saquon Barkley still commands a first, for sure. But maybe not an early first. I'm not dropping no early first or even a mid. I mean, mid to late, but more of a late than anything on Saquon Barkley.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the inflection point. And I think that's the reason why a lot of deals don't get done is people that have him still think of him as 2024 Saquon Barkley, and they want, 2 first, at the least a first and a second. But, nobody with an objectionable, thought process would give more than a first right now and a 26 first, and one that they see is going to be a late first. So I think that's why you haven't seen more deals get done with him. But I guess if you have him, all you can do is hope for it. He plays better because you're not gonna get great offers, or you can sell the ship now. The other guy, I've talked too much shit about DeAndre Swift, in the past, so I'm gonna pass on him, and I'm not gonna tell you to sell him just yet. But the other guy that I sell at running back. I think he's still a good player. I really do. I think he has upside. But the problem is he's in the league's worst offense. And I don't see when this league's worst offense is going to get any better anytime soon. Talking about Tony Pollard, I think he's very talented. But when you play on the Titans, you play with the worst offensive coaching staff. And basically the worst quarterback in the entire league. Whether it's his fault or not, he's graded out as the worst quarterback in the league. With Cam Ward, it's hard to find much success. I mean, that team is never in scoring position for him to score, touchdowns. And they're part of a lot of 3 and outs, so they're not on the field much at all. So if I can get anything, I see people trying to buy or sell Tony Pollard. If I could get a second, I'm getting rid of him without even thinking twice. I would even do I would give you Pollard in a third for a second at this point, because he's on a lot of teams that I had high hopes for, and basically all of those teams are tanked because I'm getting basically nothing out of Tony Pollard.
And I am, I was hoping more for Tony Pollard this year just because of Cam Ward. I still believe he's better than Will Levis, but Brian Callahan's offense just hasn't done it. Calvin Ridley has been very underwhelming. Just Okonkwo has been very underwhelming.
Everybody.
Offense has been very
Everybody.
underwhelming. So
Everybody.
Six. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
No. Six
No.
six catches in 4 games, so he's not helping you
No,
there.
that's
One single touchdown.
Yeah, that's 100% on Brian Callahan. When you have a back like Tony Pollard, he should be featured in the passing game. He should be featured in the running game. He does both. He's a dual threat type of guy. That's how you know Brian Callahan's about to get fired. He's actually my candidate, my first candidate to be fired this year of all the head coaches because of how the job he's been doing. And just to have Tony Pollard on this list hurts me because I think he's pretty good. And then my sell, since we both were on agreements with Saquon Barkley, would be Kyron Williams, who's actually is RB5. And I know you're saying, so why would you sell a running back that's right now that's RB5? Because if you haven't noticed, his shares have been getting cut into by Blake Corum, and it seems like, and also if you look at it, my G fumbled at the
He
one.
lost that game. He lost that fucking game. That they were winning that game,
Yeah,
and then he fumbled it away because there was no way that San Francisco was going to be able to drive and score a touchdown because they would have been down 4 points with that much time left. But he fumbled it at the 1 fucking yard line.
At the 1 fucking yard line. That is crazy to me. And wait, I was never on the Kyron Williams bandwagon on his, hit on his, hive, if you will. Kyron Williams is cool. He's a volume-based running back, but this is not the first time he's had fumbling issues. This isn't the first time where he's cost them games. And Blake Corum has looked I won't say very explosive, but he's looked more explosive than he did last year. If Kyron better watch out, because Blake Corum, and when he gets his touches, when he's actually been in the game, he's looked pretty serviceable.
Yeah.
If this is your time, if you have Kyron Williams, to sell him, because he won't have any more better value than he does right now. We've seen what how he feels about one. McVay hates losing, and yes, there was some kind of questionable play calls that they could have won the game, but that fumble at the 1, unacceptable. It just can't happen. Kyron Williams, count your days, because Blake Corum is coming for you, my boy.
Yeah, and if it ain't Blake Corum, then it's Jarquez Hunter.
Yeah, so you got some dogs behind you. No, those are our sells. Kyron Williams, Saquon Barkley, and Tony Pollard. All right. And then there was who was it? Tony Pollard, Saquon Barkley, Kyron Williams, and I feel like I'm missing Tony. Am I missing somebody?
You could sell DeAndre Swift.
All right, get the hell out of here, man. You are here. Yeah, we both. I forget we both had the same one. So let's do these. Let's look at the tight ends. Which, oh my goodness, I feel like the landscape for tight ends has been reassuring. Some guys have came back, like Kyle Pitts is back in the top 10ish. Now, if you were shout out to all the Kyle Pitts truthers who still has some type of optimism for his type of success this year, or had an optimistic view of what he was going to do. So my buys for the tight ends would be Jake Tungus of the San Francisco 49ers, who has been stepping in for George Kittle. And believe it or not, Jake Tungus is tight end 2 right now. Great things. I would never had thought going when he took over for Kittle. Right, he's doing great things at the moment, especially with.
Is that because he has an extra game?
I guess at this point, I mean, is this seasons and where it's at, and he's tight end 2. I will have to double check on that, but I think you said that he kind of look. If you squint your eyes, he kind of looks like a little Kittle. He looks like a little baby Kittle out there.
Yeah.
So what?
If I don't have my contacts in and I'm squinting my eyes, it looked a lot like Kittle.
Yeah. What do you think of Jake so far in that San Francisco offense?
I mean, he's essentially take on the George Kittle role. I mean, he's just a big tight end with some athleticism, and they make a concerted effort to get the ball to him. So until Kittle comes back, I think he's a must start for me. Where I have him, I started him. I think he's on waivers in one league. I probably won't get him, and I fucked up by not getting him because I didn't want to cut certain people because I was over the roster limit.
Mhm.
Sleeper, you can't make moves if you're over the roster limit. So I had to cut two because I was waiting on Jatavion Sanders to go on fucking out so I could put him in the IR. So fuck you guys. Y'all knew that man wasn't playing. You should have put him out earlier so I could have picked up my Jake Tunges. Um, and basically won my week with his performance. But yeah, if you got him, start him. I would start him until Kittle comes back. Once Kittle comes back, he'll go back to being a pumpkin. But until Kittle comes back, yeah, he's a must start weekly.
Go out and buy him for a third. I'm not doing a second. You can go to hell if you're an owner that wants a second for him.
I
Well,
don't know
we
if
could.
I don't know. You buy for a third?
No, I would buy for a third. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not buying for a second. No.
Oh no
Yeah, that's
no.
why that's why I said I'm not buying for a second, but I'll
I
buy
just
for a
don't know if
third.
I'd buy for a third because I know he's gonna be nothing by week 7.
It's like with Carson Wentz and people wanting a second for him. JJ McCarthy's coming back. It's not like he's done for the year. So I'm not shooting no second for Carson Wentz. A third, okay. Those are those type of situations. My second buy for the tight ends, Hunter Henry, who is tight end 4. Very sneaky tight end 4 at that. Drake May has looked very much as we promised or as we thought he would. He has taken that year 2 leap. Yes, has everything been sexy? No. All right. The Patriots offense, they're still trying to figure things out. They're still trying to figure out Trevor Henderson, the running game, their wide receivers. Stephon Diggs just had his first 100-yard game, So they're still figuring things out. But Hunter Henry is still a very important part of that overall offense. He goes through the middle. He's like their short yardage guy. And because if I had to pick a Patriots pass catcher to get you a touchdown, who I think would get a touchdown, I would look at Hunter Henry just because of how confident Drake May has been getting him the ball. How do you like Hunter Henry this season?
Um, yeah, I'm kind of mad because I had him in the redraft and he got me 1 point when I started him, and then I dropped him on his ass.
That would be right.
Then he got like 28 points the next week,
Mhm.
and I'm like, man, should I pick him up? Would he do that again, or would he get me to 1 point again? I didn't pick his ass up, and then he went for another 20 burger the next week. So,
Yup.
yeah, I mean, he's sneaky. He's not sexy, but he just puts up numbers, and for a position that's kind of decrepit in most spots. You got injuries and underperformances.
Yup.
With some of the top guys. He's a guy that you could pick up on the cheap, on the low,
Mhm.
and give you that production that week winning and week fortifying production for teams that don't have a tight end, that didn't pick up tight ends in the draft or have currently injured George Kittle.
I'm in with you. Al, who are your buys at that tight end spot, my G?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go kind of quick here. Brock Bowers and George Kittle. We know who they are. They've shown us who they are. They're a little banged up right now, so if I can, I'm getting my injury discounts on those guys. Um, uh, Terrence Ferguson, he hasn't gotten into a game, but he did get into the game this past Thursday and had an awesome catch. If you
He
haven't seen
did.
it,
He did.
go look at that highlight. Kind of jumped up in the air and mossed the guy, and the defender had no shot on it. This is going to be more than two. I'm just kind of going quick. But my biggest buy right now, and it's kind of a buy high because he's kind of shown out, but I'm buying into this guy. I believe he could be, in that Brock Bowers, in that Trey McBride stratosphere. I mean, hell, he could even be better than those guys. Maybe not Brock Bowers, but he could absolutely leap like a Trey McBride just because he's in a better offense. Tucker Kraft, he's a second in yards per route run at the position, and he is first in yards after the catch per reception. This guy's just hard to bring down. Last year, he was throwing, a bunch of short passes and kind of like screen type plays, and he would just never get tackled by the first guy and just kind of rumble down the field. with those short passes. This year, they've made a concerted effort to get him the ball down the field. And when he's down the field, um, safeties and corners don't want nothing to do with this guy. So I think he's just going to keep ascending from where he's at now. And if I can get him, I would give up a first at this point for him. If I can get a Tucker Craft for a 26 first, hopefully it's mid to late. I'd do that all day.
Yeah, and I know you hit that right on the head. I like me some Tucker Craft. I think what he's shown you so far in 2025 is he's capable, and I know that for the Green Bay offense, we said especially for the wide receivers wise, we just don't know who's going to boom that week. It could be Dobbs, it could be Golden, it could be Wicks, right? We just don't know, but we sure know that Tucker Craft definitely is one of them guys for the overall offense. He is Jordan Love's safety blanket, and hell, he makes plays after the catch. And that's my biggest gripe with Jake Ferguson, even though he's tight end one this year, is that he just catches the ball, but he doesn't make things shake. He doesn't make nothing happen after. Tucker
You
Craft
want
that bitch, and he will take that. He will try to take that motherfucker as far as he can.
to hear a stat?
Hmm.
Tucker Craft has 2 more receiving yards than Jake Ferguson on 20 less targets.
I'm telling you,
20
I'm
less.
telling you, like Tucker Craft is really, and I love yak guys, whether it's wide receivers, tight ends that can make stuff happen after the catch. They are a blessing. That's why I love Harold Fannin Jr. He just need when he finally gets like the full usage of tight end, it's going to be crazy. But I like your buys there, and I'll even let you go first for the sales.
Okay. My sales, this is more of a process play, just considering this guy was a rapper just a couple months ago, a non-football rapping guy, you know, terrible from what I hear. I'm not an enthusiast in his music, but
You don't want
from what I
me.
hear, it's not good.
You don't.
But Darren Waller came out and scored 2 touchdowns.
Two tutties.
On Monday Night Football, and everybody saw those 2 touchdowns because he scored them in prime time. I think he only had maybe 3 or 4 targets, 3 catches and 2 touchdowns. So he looked John Smith like, and maybe you're buying into it, but as a process for me, a guy that came out of nowhere to score 2 touchdowns, I'm immediately throwing him on the block. Um, maybe you can get a second for him. If you can get a second for him, that's all day. I think I would even take like a 2/3 for him. But yeah, get me whatever I can get for Darren Waller. I think, he can go back to disappearing and go back to his rap career just as quickly as he scored those 2 touchdowns. So I'm not all the way bought in on that. And plus he's on the Miami Dolphins. And how much do we believe in anything Dolphins? I mean, you got Tua, who's just played terribly, and he's also got the risk of concussion, which can essentially end his career at any moment.
Yep.
You got Mike McDaniel, who's at threat of being fired at any moment now. He saved his job for another week with a win against the Jets, but another loss and he could be gone at 1-4. So it's just a very volatile situation. So if I can get some good picks for a guy that I am 100% sure you picked up off of waivers as soon as the news popped that he was coming back, I would do so. And the other guy that I'm selling, we just kind of briefly touched on him, but Jake Ferguson, 39 targets in 4 games. I don't see that being a sustainable once CD Lamb comes back. And he's kind of middling in all of the advanced statistics. 15th in receiving grade, 21st in average depth of target. So he's catching short passes near the line of scrimmage and not doing much with them. Basically in a tight end premium PPR league, he's killing. But I mean, how can we trust that he does that once all-world receiver CeeDee Lamb comes back? So I'm selling him off of his tight end one performance thus far. And if I can get something really nice, I'm selling him without thinking about it. I mean, hell, you might be able to buy into a Brock Bowers or a George Kittle with him.
Yeah,
Tucker Craft.
I don't think no
Yeah.
Brock Bowers, but Jake.
No, I'm saying like not one for one, but if you can sell Jake Ferguson in a first plus and get a Brock Bowers, if you could sell Jake, you might be able to sell Jake Ferguson one for George Kittle, just for somebody that needs the production. I can't wait on the George Kittle. I would do that all day.
Mm-hmm. I could ride with that, like a Jake Ferguson in a second, or hell, if you really want Tucker Craft, Jake Ferguson, they'll slide in a second, or just depending on how much they really like him. But hey, I'm not going to fight you against the Jake Ferguson one. I think if you have him and he's helping you win, keep him. If you are on a losing team and you have him, this is probably the best value he's going to have for the year at the tight end one. People are going to want that, so get him out the window. Go ahead and sell him.
Throw him
Mine,
out the window.
throw him out the window. Myself for the tight end position, I will go with Kyle Pitts for the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, he's back into that top 10, type area where he was as a rookie, but I don't think this will last long. Honestly, with the Atlanta Falcons offense kind of scares me a little bit because I know Bijan's going to go off. Hopefully Drake London is going to get the targets, but I don't feel too confident on Kyle Pitts that this would continue. Michael Penix has been very up and down. I think the offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson, who came from the Rams, has been very, and McVay, I believe it was McVay, McVay's coaching tree has been very mediocre. It hasn't, like, sometimes they boom, but a lot of times they don't. And I think they will benefit from trading for a wide receiver too. I don't know who that would be. My dark horse would have been Tyreek Hill. I would have loved him on the Atlanta Falcons, but man doesn't have a knee anymore. So that's where we're currently sitting at. So so Kyle Pitts is for sure a sell for me, and I think you should take advantage of how he performed so far. If you can, in a tight end premium, if someone's willing to, try to go get a late first, or even if you can't get a late first, try to get that second, for Kyle Pitts, where most people wouldn't even have bought him for a third prior to the season. But since he's been producing, I think he's moved himself back into that second round area to go get him, and then even to consider with how young he is, a late first. And then my other sell would be Juwan Johnson. And I know he was a buy who he's been actually having Juwan Johnson. I know he's been, having a good season so far, but I don't think that's going to continue for the full season. The Saints have very much struggling, and that's not to Spencer Rattler's fault at all. I think he's been coming out every week and doing what he can. That offensive line is so bad just due to injuries, and I feel bad for Spencer Rattler sometimes because he is running for his dear life, trying to keep his head on top of his shoulders. They still have Chris Olave, they still have Raheem Shaheed, and just looking at how Kellen Moore's offense has gone, I think Kellen Moore should also be in that. I won't say he will get fired in year one, but he should be also in the hot seat because the offense hasn't been gelling like it should be, or how it.
The offense has been playing good. The fucking team is fucking atrocious. The front office should go.
Saints, I don't know. Saints is here or there. The offensive line, not good. Receivers,
offensive line is actually the best it's been in years. It's the Cesar Ruiz is fucking awful, but the tackles haven't been too bad.
I think y'all rookie, I believe tackle or guard. I forget which one he's playing for y'all. He was a little banged up. The center Ruiz, like you pointed out, y'all had
He's awful. He's a fucking turnstile.
Y'all had a guy who retired. So at the moment, I would sell Juwan Johnson just because of where he's at. Who has tight end 8. I think you can fetch you a nice second. Someone's been trying to get a second for Juwan Johnson in a non-premium league for the last 3 weeks and been promoting, hey, Juwan Johnson, I have him on team. He is tight end 2 right now. Come get him for a second.
Nobody falling for that shit.
crickets. So yeah, no one playing. He tried to send that shit my way, and I said decline. I don't want it. No, I'm good, brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm 3-1 at the moment. So and then my other and those are my sells right now. So for the Titans, Juwan Johnson and Kyle Pitts. And last but not least, let's end the episode off on the receivers. And if you made it this far in the episode, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. And we got more coming to you tomorrow. And catch us on the morning rush as we go through your starting sits.
We got some big news coming too.
Got some big news coming.
Huge news.
Yes, sir. Like Rocco said, good things on the way. Wonderful partnerships being going for it. We're not going to go too much into the weeds of yet because we still got to sign the dotted line. But nevertheless, we got something in store for y'all. Rocco, my wide receiver bias. And once again, don't hate me, y'all, because I'm not Cowboys biased. George Pickens. I know he's my third Cowboy that I've said so far in this episode. George Pickens had an amazing week 4, looking like the wide receiver one that he has talked himself up to be, and what he believes himself to be in CeeDee Lamb's absence, going for 130, I believe 130 plus receiving yards, 2 tutties, and I feel like he could even had a bigger performance, and I think he deserves more targets going forward while CeeDee Lamb is out, and I hope him and CeeDee Lamb can very well mesh together so we can have a very great passing offense. But George Pickens, man, if you have him, you feel really good of where he's been performing. I think you can easily go get him for, I would give up a late first for George Pickens right now. He's still young as hell. At this point, unless the person or the owner is on crack, doing heroin, some type of illegal substance that can get you put away for a long time, I don't see George Pickens getting sold for anything less than a first right now. You try to go get him for a second, you might just get laughed out the DMs. You try to do a second and a third, you still might get laughed out the DMs. George Pickens is a great buy right now. I think he's trending up. I think him and Dak are building a very solid chemistry, and he's starting to trust him more. And Dak is starting to learn how to play with George Pickens. Dak typically plays better with route runners, guys who get open fairly easy. And not saying George Pickens is not a route runner, but he's open when he's not open. You toss that bitch up, and he's gonna go get it. That's the type of player George Pickens is, and that's why I think you should go ahead and buy him. And then my second buy is the one, the only, Aaron Rodgers' number 1 target right now. DK Metcalf is having himself a solid year, number 4 for the Steelers. And I don't think he could be even more happy because it seems like he's running different concepts now with the Steelers than he was with the Seahawks. So that could have been where the Seahawks really just thought he was a one-trick pony and only could run these certain routes. The Steelers have sent him on goal balls, shallows, drags, crosses, innings, outs, everything that you can really think about trying to get him the ball. I like so far what DK Metcalf has done this year. Aaron Rodgers seems like he's done more than what he did when he was with the Jets. And hell, when you have a full intact Achilles, that might actually be something that works out for you. But DK Metcalf, I won't say like he's elite. I'm not going to put him in that top 10 area, right? But I would feel very comfortable sending out 2 seconds for DK Metcalf. You might just have to go for a late first just to how people are feeling about him if he's on a winning team. If he's on a winning team, you're probably not getting him. But if you're on a losing team, if he is on a losing team, I think you can very much go get him for 2 seconds. And if you really need to press that, press the button, press the dime, go out and send a late first. But I'm not going anywhere higher than a late first, maybe a mid, but I'm really set in stone at that late first round type value for DK Metcalf. And those are my 2 buys at the wide receiver position. Rocco, how about yourself and any feedback that you have for that one?
Yeah, DK is a sell for me because I just don't think he's very good at football. His hands are kind of not great, and I don't really believe in the Pittsburgh offense as a whole. But he is the only guy there, so he should be the guy. But if you look at it, he's 19th in yards so far. He's propped up by those 3 touchdowns and basically that long touchdown catch, which
70 yarder.
he's
Yeah.
very much capable of, but it kind of props up his overall receiving numbers. That without that long catch, his numbers would be a little bit in trouble. Um, but as far as George Pickens, I'm lockstep with you right there. I think George Pickens, is awesome, and I like that tidbit that you threw in there that he's still learning how to play with George Pickens because what he likes is those route runners, but he just needs to give George Pickens shots at the ball because he doesn't need to be open by anything really. He
Yeah.
just needs to throw it in a spot where he can go up and get it. He's just that type of guy. He's one of the best contested catch artists in the entire league. So yeah, I think it could just get better and better for George Pickens. So I really like that take, but not as much on DK.
I can give
But
it.
maybe he proves me wrong. I got him in one spot, and I kind of need him to do something for me. So maybe he does, but I would be more of a sell on him.
And who are your buys?
Um, this is kind of a buy high. I think that's been either a theme for mine is either buy high or buy super low on guys. But I'm kind of believing what I'm seeing. Jackson Smith and Jigba is a super buy high. He's a league leading 4.10 yards per route run, and anything over 3 is amazing.
Hmm.
Even 2.5 is where Jamar Chase last year, I think, was at 2.5, and he won the Triple Crown just for, that thought process. But after being in the slot 83% as a sophomore last year, which kind of pigeonholed him as a slot only type guy, and what kind of worried me coming into the year, having brought in a Cooper Kupp, who's also a slot guy, but he's been out wide 77% of the time so far this year and killing it out wide. So, he's showing that versatility to just
Oh,
play anywhere along the line. And he's also second in the league in both offensive and receiving grade per PFF. I'm buying high as like the only guy that's really worth anything in that offense. He's just getting super elite targets, and the Dick Hammer himself is playing good. So I would buy high on JSN. I just bought JSN for my injured Malik Neighbors, and I got a Tyler Algier thrown in with JSN, and I'm really digging that trade. That's going to keep me relevant in that league.
yeah.
My other guy is Tetaroa McMillan. Um, you know, he's top 15 in both offense and receiving grade
That he is.
in that terrible offense. And he's gotten the targets, 34 targets in 4 games, which is impressive for a rookie in his first 4 games. So he's obviously, the number one in that offense right out the gate. Nobody's even close to him.
Yeah.
Even with Jalen Coker come back, I think that's just going to help him out because he'll have another guy to kind of draw some coverage away from him. But he's basically the only thing. And I think one of the more impressive things that I saw in his stat line was 5.6 yards after the catch per reception. So even if he's not getting the best targets, he's making stuff happen after he catches the ball. So Tetaroa McMillan, he's started slow, basically with his raw numbers, but he has uh, a lot of signal that he is going to be good as soon as Bryce Young gets his act together or they get Andy Dalton in there.
And then who are your two sells at the wide receiver position?
All right, be real quick with this. Travis Hunter.
Okay. You gotta go.
Travis
Yeah. Let the audience know.
Travis Hunter has the third worst wide receiver grade in the entire league. He plays with one of your QB cells with Trevor Lawrence, who's playing absolutely terribly. And if it goes real bad for him, he can just play more and more snaps on defense. So if you can still get a first for him, I'm getting out immediately. In a lot of places, his value has sunk under a first. Um, but I'm not buying into Travis Hunter at this point. My other sell is Jamison Williams. He was a big breakout candidate in the offseason. I know some guys in our Discord really liked him to break out. I even heard some irresponsible talk of him taking over
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. Ain't happening. 19 targets in 4 games. That's not gonna make it happen at all.
Yeah, and I like your two sells. With Travis Hunter, I was not Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, I still like Travis Hunter. It's too early for me to really sell on him at the moment, but I'm not buying him either. If I'm at this point, you're just waiting to see one if Shane Waldron's still in town by the end of the year. If he is, you might want to go cry because of where you had to take Travis Hunter, where you could have, hey, you could have traded back, got you some more pieces, got you some more picks, and be looking good. But Travis Hunter has been a very, excuse me, a very disappointment, and it's not his fault. It's just that overall, it's the coaching, it's the situation. It's Trevor Lawrence. It hasn't been a good situation for him, especially for how much they traded up to get him, which is quite
Mm-hmm.
crazy that you don't use him in different ways when you gave up that much draft capital. It's not looking good for the first year general manager there in Jacksonville. And I like your two sells. My two sells happen to be Keenan Allen and Michael Pittman. Why do I say Keenan Allen? Even though he's having a really solid year for the Chargers, and I'm happy that they did bring him back. And what really messes me up with Keenan Allen, he's messing up my Lad McConkey shares because they both play.
I was
he,
this close to saying sell lad, but I didn't want to do my boy
no,
like that.
I can't sell my boy Lad, but I can say go get your that draft capital out of Keenan Allen because of he is playing well. I think he can go ahead and fetch you a third, maybe if somebody's crazy enough, a second. I'm telling you, yeah. I was gonna say
I
it's
want
a,
a second.
you know what
Give
I'm
me a
saying.
second.
If Keenan Allen's playing the way he is, shoot for that second. And if you're really into like really looking to move them, all right, then sell on a third. But I think that second it's not an outlandish request or ask to go get him. He has been one of Justin Herbert's favorite guys. And this could be his last year. I think what he's shown, I think Keenan Allen has another year or 2 years in his book to provide some decent type of production going forward. And then Michael Pittman, I was never on the hive. I feel like yes, Daniel Jones is having a career year with the Colts, and shout out to him. As much shit we have given him on this podcast for sure, but Michael Pittman, it just like he has a game and then he'll disappear. Right? It's not. I don't see him taking over a game. I don't see a dominant type of wide receiver. And when you're looking at that wide receiver room, it's not nothing that really shows elite work or a guy that is the bona fide wide receiver one. I think Michael Pittman is a super cool, a decent wide receiver two. Might even a fringe. I'll keep him out of wide receiver two. I think he will never be a wide receiver one for me. And if honestly, I don't have much of Michael Pittman just because I don't really like the player like that. But for me, I think if you sold him right now, you can get him you can get him for a second or sell him for a second just off of how well the Colts offense has been moving. Up until last week, the Colts had only punted one time through 4 weeks. That is really good, or through 3 weeks. So that's a really good stat for them, and I think it's trending upward for them. And they also have Jonathan Taylor, so they are leaning more on Jonathan Taylor than needing Daniel Jones to be just this outright slinging it. You know what I mean? So those are my two sells. If you're out there, if you've made it, once again, if you made it this far and you looked at our buys, you looked at yourselves, right now is the time to pivot for your teams, right now to make the trades. Be the first one to be in that owner's inbox because once they start getting different offers in, now it's really up to them to see what's the best deal that works out, right? So this is the time to take advantage. And while we're here, while we got this thing going, follow or go download, if you will, the League Champ Fantasy Ranks app on your local Google, whether it's Google, what's it Android called? Is it called Google Play Store? Something like
It's
that.
called Playstore.
Okay, Google Play Store, and go on the App Store if you have Apple, like I do. If you're a smart person, I'm just playing. I
Yeah.
don't. I'm just. I'm just.
Hey.
You know, there's no hate against the Androids, but
Sounded a little hateful.
Go. Hey, listen, I got a gripe against Android for sure. But go. Hold on, share is not allowed. Oh, for some reason it's not. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see the little ducky guy.
All right, cool. So on my end, it looks like it said it was having trouble showing. But go ahead to your App Store, Google Play Store, download League Champ Fantasy Ranks, where you can come in, set your own rankings of how quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and flex spots for your chance every week. And I mean every week. If you're finished as the number one winner, you can win a free NFL jersey of your choice every week.
Choice.
You know, so you can come in here, you can do ranks to projections, and they have contests every week, whether it's a weekly contest, and they also have yearly ranking contests as well if you want to go in there. This is our second week actually doing the rankings, setting guys out, and then doing the contest. My first week, I had roughly like a 76% accuracy for my rankings. It's actually super fun and competitive. Really gets your mind thinking of one, how your lineups should be set out based on your rankings. And that's the news that we're looking to potentially break. We still got to wait, but something coming along, something along the ways, for sure. But go out to the App Store, download League Champ Fantasy Ranks. I promise you will not regret it. It's a wonderful app by our wonderful friend Addy and friends. And honestly, it's been a joy since I downloaded it just to get a better understanding on my end and how I think about certain guys during the week. So go download League Champ, a wonderful app for sure, for fantasy.
Yeah, you gonna beat me this week or what?
I'm gonna fuck you up this week. I hope y'all know.
I got you last week. Got him.
To get me. And honestly, I didn't expect us both to have a really good week. If I had 76 something, I think Rocco ended up with 77%. So shout out to Rocco, shout out to Addy for an amazing app. And go ahead and get that thing downloaded into your phone. But that has been our episode for today. Our two buys, two sells per position from me and Rocco. If y'all don't know, I'm Huncho and he's
Rocco. Call me Rocco.
And we're your fantasy playbook to more championship wins. And Rocco, where's we the land of?
Fantasy Football Podcast. We are a fantasy football podcast for Dynasty Sickos by Dynasty Sickos. But everybody is welcome.
Everyone is
welcome.
Get
that ass whooped on League Champ.
Ass whooped. And if I'm going against you, get that ass whooped. And if you download League Champ, get your ass whooped again. A double header of ass whoopings, if you will. Now, until next time, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your day to yourself. Protect your mental. Hope y'all get wins this Sunday. If you don't get a win, if you end up being 0-5, start the pivot, my boy. Wrap it up.
Hey, if you're 0-5, you should join our Discord and we'll help you. We'll coach you through the process of rebuilding that thing completely free.
Like Rocco said, join our free Discord. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on X or Twitter, however you say it. You can find us on Facebook. We're literally on every social media platform for the most part where you can find us. So come tap in with the Fourth and Fantasy family. We got some wonderful people in the Discord, and we can all help you out to some more championship wins. Till next time, hope y'all have an amazing day, and we out.